Well, game one without Ashton Genty for Boise State did not go as planned at all. And quite frankly, this team looks far away from being a college football playoff contender than they were a year prior, losing 34-7 against South Florida in week one. And it just wasn't what we expected for a team that got the preseason nod for 25th in the country to start the season. And that might have been a nod just out of respect because you're in college football playoffs, but I think we found out that Ashton Genty really was the heart and soul of that offense because they struggled mightily in this game. There was some uh, awful turnovers. There was just some egregious plays. But what I want to get to here is because they lost against South Florida, when you look at the rest of Boise State's schedule, and really it stems on one extra game here, the Notre Dame game, if they can't beat the Fighting Irish, which in my mind, I don't think they're going to be even close to competing with Notre Dame based off what we saw against South Florida. If they pick up that second loss, I think you are completely out of it unless the rest of the G5 falls apart for the college returning to the college football playoffs. Maddox Matson concerned me. I was not impressed with anything that really he was giving the game. And I want to see more from Maddox. I think that he has the ability to, get this team to a Mountain West championship and get them to the college football playoffs like he was in charge of doing last year. Of course, again, I'm aware Gentry was there, but he went 25 for 46, 225 and a touchdown. But I just didn't like anything else. Really, what I was seeing from him, I thought he made some bad decisions. I thought we were seeing, obviously, there were some issues with the football, some turnovers, fumbling, you name it. I was just not impressed. And to the point to where if they don't shape it up and figure this out, and they have some time to figure it out, Eastern Washington this week, Air Force, Appalachian State, before they get to Notre Dame, if they don't figure it out by then, of course, the season's already over. But maybe we start seeing a transition at quarterback. Like, is it too early to think that? It might be, but I think that's on a concerned watch. If you're going to do the tornado watch warnings and advisories, I think we're on an advisory right now of a potential change at quarterback at Boise State if this doesn't shape up. I don't think the statistics in the box score are really giving you the honest truth of what we saw at Boise State. Sire Gaines, I think eventually is going to be fine. He's not going to be a Heisman Trophy candidate in the backfield like we had with Ashton Genty, but I think he's going to fill the shoes just fine for Boise State for the season. I really do. 9 carries, 44 yards, just under 5 yards a carry. They just need to feed him more. And unfortunately, they couldn't do that because they were quickly down in this game after scoring first. They put the first 7 on the board. South Florida put the next 34-7 final. I mean, it's just an embarrassing look for Boise State. But you're 0-1. You made the college football playoffs at 11-1 last year, winning the conference. If you fall to Notre Dame and even win out and go 10-2, you still have to get some hope and some love and some other things falling your way inside the G5. You have to. A 10-5 team in the G5 winning your conference probably doesn't do it. There's probably going to be another team out there that is better. So you're going to hope and pray that someone in the American, so whether that is South Florida or Tulane or UTSA or whatever the case is, and some from the MAC and some from Conference USA, don't go 11-1. Now, I think you are a little bit lucky in the case of South Florida because they have a tough schedule ahead too in Florida and Miami. But if South Florida gets one of those wins and then sit at 11-1, or even get one of those wins and is at 10-2, and Boise State doesn't get Notre Dame and sits at 10-2, they're not going to win that tiebreaker over South Florida because of the head-to-head and because of their Power 4 win, excuse me. So, Boise State, what are you going to do? Can Matson shine? I hope he can. 225, it just wasn't enough. I want to see him make a statement win against Eastern Washington, get them back on pace. That game's at 6 o'clock Pacific on Fox Sports 1 on Friday. So hopefully they can. It's the only game on. So everybody's going to be watching yet again. There's no NFL on. Or there is actually. There's an NFL game, so maybe you get lucky if you don't mess up. Some people will be watching, I think, the Chiefs and Chargers instead of you. But either way, you got to shine on Eastern Washington. And then Air Force, Appalachian State before October 4th against Notre Dame in South Bend. It's going to be a tough one for Boise State to bounce back. I don't want to write them off right now. I don't want to say their season's completely over. I think even with a loss to Notre Dame, you still have a chance because I think the G5 could be crazy this year. But either way, you're in a tough spot after losing 34-7. I think the best case you can hope for is win out, even and potentially if you lose, have a respectable loss against Notre Dame, and hope that South Florida shines against the rest of their schedule, but still finds themselves behind Boise State in the standings. So a 10-2, potentially 9-3 seasons for South Florida, a respectable season. So that loss, that 34-7 loss, doesn't look egregious. Because if South Florida finds themselves back in the 7-5, 6-6 territory, that loss is going to mean even much more for the entire season if they're trying to get themselves back into the playoffs once the season comes around. I mean, they finish 4 games in a row against new Pac-12 teams. Fresno State, at San Diego State, back home against Colorado State, and at Utah State. It's going to be a fun ride for Boise State, and then we're going to get ready to see what they do this season. It's going to wrap it up for this episode of New Pac-12 Daily Podcast. We're going to be back here every day. We're going to dive into some more of the new Pac-12 teams tomorrow. We're going to give you reaction shows throughout the weekend as well. We're not going anywhere. We're here every day now, just getting started. Wanted to start this a little earlier, but we're here now. So be sure to check us out at Pac-12 Daily on Twitter X, and you can find some written work as well as supporting the podcast anywhere you listen to your audio or on YouTube. Hit that subscribe. We're going to grow this channel. If you are a fan of the new Pac-12, be sure to check with us every single day. And then you can find us at pac12daily.com. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Take care.